Sarah Mitchell pushed open the glass door to her office on a crisp October morning in Austin, Texas. The faint hum of servers in the distance, a constant companion after 20 years at Nexus Tech. The air smelled of overbrewed coffee and the faint ozone from the always-on monitors. But the scene that greeted her stopped her cold. Alex Harper sat in her ergonomic chair, feet kicked up on the metal filing cabinet she'd organized herself back in 2005. Sipping from the ceramic mug gifted by the founder's wife during the company's scrappy startup days. He spun slowly, eyes scanning her screen where old configuration files were being deleted one by one with casual clicks. "Didn't expect you in so early, Sarah," he said without looking up, his voice smooth with that practiced HR concern. "Big changes coming. Realignment across the board." She didn't answer right away. Just stood in the doorway, leather bag still slung over her shoulder, watching as 20 years of meticulous operational memory vanished under his mouse. The mug in his hand was the one with the faded Nexus logo, a relic from when the company barely had 50 employees and systems crashed if you breathed wrong. Sarah had been the one to stabilize it all. She nodded once, walked past him without a word, retrieved a backup thumb drive from the drawer, and left the mug where it was. No sense fighting over coffee when the real stakes were far bigger. Sarah hadn't always been invisible at Nexus Tech. When she joined in 2004, fresh out of a systems engineering program and eager after a string of short-term gigs, the company's platform was a house of cards. One wrong click in the admin panel could take down half the customer portals. The founders brought her in because she had a reputation for building quiet, reliable structures, the kind that hummed in the background while flashy features got the glory. By 2006, she'd completely rebuilt the back-end deployment framework from scratch, mapping every vendor integration and API gateway by hand during long nights fueled by takeout and determination. By 2008, she signed off on every license renewal, every compliance audit, every operational control point. She never chased titles or big raises. Her satisfaction came from the late-night pages that only she could resolve, the quiet respect from engineers who knew she kept the lights on. Then Alex arrived 6 months ago in his sleek Tesla, tailored blazer a size too tight, full of ideas about sunsetting legacy systems and modular value realignment. He spoke in slides and buzzwords, pushing new dashboards that looked impressive but ignored the foundational layers Sarah had built brick by brick before cloud native was even mainstream. One afternoon, Alex cornered her in the break room. "Sarah, I need the documentation on those core licensing registries, the ones predating our cloud pivot." She handed him the thick binder, carefully labeled and cross-referenced. He flipped it open briefly, chuckled, and said, "We'll digitize this eventually." He never opened it again. A young engineer named Jordan pulled her aside after a team meeting. "He's planning cuts to legacy headcount. He thinks your role is just PDFs collecting dust." He even joked about regenerating licenses like they're disposable. Sarah nodded calmly, but inside, unease stirred. She ran a quick internal check later that day. Last access to the core registry? 6 months ago. By her. Last renewal? Hers. Ownership verification? Tied to her personal LLC. Alex wasn't malicious, just dangerously arrogant. He assumed old systems could be streamlined without understanding their hand-built nature. Sarah kept working quietly, verifying authentications, ensuring deployment nodes reported correctly, always back to her name as the record holder. It wasn't revenge plotting, it was duty. She was the one who answered 2 a.m. calls when containers died or channels needed manual rerouting after leadership offsites. But Alex chased flashy metrics. He replaced proven infrastructure with templates and outsourced tools. During meetings, his eyes glazed when she mentioned non-transferable rights or proprietary overlays. He thought he was trimming fat. He didn't realize he was severing arteries. The sidelining began subtly. First, mismeeting. Platform continuity sync. Sarah chalked it up to oversight. Second time, pattern. Third, deliberate. Walking past the glass-walled conference room one Thursday, she overheard fragments. Legacy drag. Outdated contracts. Technical debt. Alex paced with swagger, pointing at a slide with a red arrow plunging downward. We're bleeding on infrastructure roles that don't scale. Jordan spoke up hesitantly from across the table. Sarah manages the legacy license tree. Some rights go back before the cloud shift. Not standard cycles. Alex shrugged smugly. We'll file fresh ones. Nobody owns software anymore in SaaS era. Sarah returned to her desk, opened the access monitor, and watched sandbox instances fail authentication. 30 minutes later, a Slack ping. Node stuck, can you check? She waited, curious how far they'd get without her. The answer came quickly, not far. Alex's changes accelerated. New templates broke compatibility with older vendor handshakes. Sarah fixed them quietly at first, then watched as he presented this streamlined results without crediting the underlying fixes. Her access started vanishing piece by piece. First the platform strategy calendar invite, then expense portal privileges, finally administrative tools for the vendor registry. The message was unmistakable. She printed 3 documents: her original employment agreement, the 2011 license stewardship contract, and Appendix C from the Platform Rights Index, the clause that had never been reassigned. They didn't call her in for a conversation. A manila envelope appeared on her desk one afternoon. Termination letter. Generic severance. A post-it with her final day. No face-to-face after 2 decades. Sarah walked to the HR glass cubicle where Alex waited with his empty smile. Simplifying structure, he explained casually. Transition your workload next week. No hard feelings. Sarah sat slowly, slid the severance across the desk. I'll sign. But review Appendix C first, legacy platform clause on rights ownership. It's in the state digital registry. Alex blinked, twitched slightly. Sure. We'll look into it. He didn't note it down. Just handed over the exit packet. We wish you the best. She packed her box, the one always kept ready, and the old NDA binder with notarized memos from past executives. No farewell speech. She walked out the front doors into the Texas sun. Nobody stopping her. By 2:17 p.m., she was home in sweats brewing tea. By 2:46 p.m., the first unknown number call came. Then internal counsel. Slack pings she could no longer see. Urgent voicemails. The clause was clear. Non-transferable rights to initiate, maintain, and authorize system-wide backend access unless reassigned via notarized contract. No reassignment existed. Every Nexus system now ran without valid licensing authority, set to lapse into trial mode with throttled access. Caps, downtime, watermarks, and SOC 2 red flags in 14 business days. Sarah set her phone to Do Not Disturb and let silence work. She reflected on the years, the trust placed in her as temporary custodian when Nexus was small and couldn't afford corporate registration fees. The annual renewals she filed faithfully under her LLC. The paranoid safeguards she'd added over time, like immutable signature locks and notification protocols on reassignment attempts. Inside Nexus, the first cracks appeared the next morning. A panicked voicemail from a junior associate about an old clause in Appendix C. They scrambled to locate physical copies after digital purges. Eventually, someone unearthed the binder Sarah left behind. There it was, her name, LLC. Dated 2011. Renewed annually. Sole authority recognized by the state. They tested the deployment pipeline. Error after error. Invalid license. Missing owner's signature. Jenkins pipelines hung. CI/CD deadlocked. Vendor handshakes failed. Finance audit flags blinked red. Alex strutted through meetings claiming minor modernization friction, but engineers hit wall after wall. Sarah, meanwhile, booked a short trip to a quiet hill country cabin. No laptop. She scrolled the company's public status page occasionally, watching red alerts multiply like a slow-motion train wreck. By day 3, full panic mode. Alex marched through offices barking escalation protocols and revalidation phases. Engineers tore through configs like desperate medics. Sandbox clones failed with 403 mismatches. Emergency renewals pinged the registry only to return. Owner of record Sarah Mitchell LLC. Non-transferable. Requires originator authorization. The immutable safeguards Sarah installed years earlier locked everything, encrypted hashes tied to her certificate and records. Overwrites refused. Systems timed out progressively, analytics dark. Procurement frozen. Customer dashboards unable to verify tiers. The founder, Marcus Reed, flew back early from an investor event, storming into the legal conference room. Why is our deployment architecture offline? Legal slid documents forward. Summary. Absence of the named licensee causes backend rights to expire in 14 business days. Everything runs in pending lapse. Marcus stared at the notarized page with Sarah's bold signature and LLC. Did we ever buy this from her? Silence. No formal reassignment. Treated as placeholder. He ran hands over his face. So when we fired her, she took the rights with her. The room went still. Every investor pitch about their proprietary deployment engine now rested on a license they never truly owned. Marcus's voice chilled. What else runs on expired authority? Sarah received careful emails and offers. Consulting retainer. Vague bridging gaps. Alex's voicemail circled without apology. A text. Gotten off on the wrong foot. She deleted them. During her quiet time away, she met an old contact from Vanguard Solutions, a rival building cleaner infrastructure. They offered genuine partnership. Full integration rights. Chief technical strategist role, no legacy labels. She weighed it. The betrayal of being disposable after years of unseen labor. The arrogance that assumed payroll equaled ownership. Sarah logged into the state registry that evening and filed the migration under third-party deployment clause. Authorized by sole custodian. Timestamp, 6:42 p.m. By 8:51 p.m. Nexus systems began cascading failover. Master keys failed handshakes. Nodes looped endlessly. Dashboards went offline. Pipelines returned 500 errors. Chaos bloomed without briefings. Support queues exploded with identical tickets. Investor relations issued a vague, temporary suspension due to unresolved licensing event, rights assigned to third-party entity. Stock dropped 19% by close. Analysts dissected the disclosure. Marcus called emergency session. Davis, Alex, was removed immediately. Escorted out. Board reviewed screenshots of Sarah's signature. Meanwhile, Vanguard announced the partnership and Sarah's role. Media connected its. Mid-tier clients jumped ship for stability. Nexus's backend froze at midnight on the 14th day. Quiet shift from active to void. No dramatic countdown. Just systemic silence. Calls pleading for one signature went unanswered. Sarah never issued statements or victory laps. She focused on building better at Vanguard, avoiding every pitfall Nexus ignored. In the end, Nexus didn't lose from clever outmaneuvering. They lost by overlooking what was filed publicly all along, her name on every renewal, certificate, and record. They assumed ownership followed payroll, not meticulous paper and trust. Alex saw her as footnote, HR as easy cut, Leadership as bridge to cross without reading the fine print. Sarah reflected often on the moral weight. Quiet competence dismissed until its absence topples empires. The infrastructure wasn't sentimental, it was the foundation. When she walked away with it legally, the silence spoke volumes. What happens when those holding the keys are treated as disposable? The system answers for itself.